When you touch me, crazy. I'm crazy the way you love me, crazy.
Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. You know, these are troubling times today. Everybody's stressed out. Gas prices. Are we in a war? Are we going to be in a war? And it's scary. It's virtually impossible not to be somewhat fixated on it. You know, I know I don't watch a lot of news anymore just because it's all bad. I don't like watching people get killed. I don't like hearing about it. I don't want to be, I want that to fill my mind. But most of us are we're stressed out because of something. And we know that stress kills. We've done shows on how it affects telomeres, blood vessels, the brain. The brain actually shrinks when it's under stress too long. What if there was a way, like in 10 minutes, to completely shift your mental state? Anywhere, wherever you are, like you're feeling anxious, you're about to walk into an appointment. This is when you would grab the Xanax, but instead of grabbing the Xanax, you want to just kind of shift your emotional and mental state, in a healthy way, quickly, on demand. Wouldn't you love that? Well, we've got that for you today. We're going to talk about today with my guest, Dr. Sean Sullivan, in just a moment. We have to thank our title sponsor first, and that is Legendary Foods. If you haven't tried the sweet rolls yet, you're really missing out. If you're somebody who wants to eat a Cinnabon so bad, but you know that it's crap and you won't, here's the solution. Legendary Foods has the new sweet roll series in cinnamon and chocolate and wild berry. 1 gram of sugar. That's right. 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high quality dairy protein, 5 net carbs. If you're a net carb guy like me, I'm a low carb guy. You can go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. Trust me, get enough for your kids to enjoy as well, because they will eat these, and it's a much better alternative than some crappy pastry that you can buy at your grocery store. So check them out, shrnetwork.biz/legendary. SHR10 is the code. And now, without further delay, let's bring Sean on here. Sean Sullivan is somebody that I feel like I've known my whole life, and we've only been talking for like 20 minutes. It's pretty fun.
Carl.
There are those people, right? In life, there are those people. Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, as I was just listening to you now, that, it's rare that you come on and you get someone of your caliber who's been doing this as long as you have, with the success you've had, gets a half hour on early and just talks to you, and hangs out. And I'm thinking to myself, this is largely what shifting is about. It's about being able to live your day the way that you want to, in that mindset where you're actually connected to people in this case, life in general, the flow state at work, whatever it is. So thank you for taking the time. And yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like we've known each other. It's an Italian and an Irishman, I guess.
Yeah, right. In the same neighborhood, Well, we all lived in the same neighborhoods. You got to remember, even in Brooklyn, it was the Irish and the Italians that lived in the same neighborhoods. So
is that right? Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Boston, maybe a couple years behind you. And my dad tells the stories of, it was a grind for everyone.
That's what, it's funny. Like when I think of my childhood, the one common denominator we had, we were all broke. We all respected each other, but everybody was struggling. Whose father was a truck driver, whose mother was a seamstress. And that actually was the bond. That was
That's
the bomb.
interesting, yeah. I mean, it's also interesting now that you can be broke and still have a cell phone. It's a different world, right? We're
Dude,
still we're all plugged in no matter broke is I don't wanna minimize what broke is. Broke is bad, right? But it's a different kind of broke for a lot of people.
I know, you're right. So I have to guess that you came up with this idea during COVID.
Actually, that's not true, but definitely got refined over COVID, I'll say
Right,
that.
right.
But when I think about the origins of it, I'm a clinical psychologist and been at this 25 years, and so when I was doing my original research in graduate school, it was all focused on how do you apply technology to psychology, and
Mhm.
so the iterations were, coming for the next 20 years until we landed on this concept of shifting, and really where it came from was I'm a psychotherapist, right, as a psychologist, so you see patients, and what I realized after 10, 15 years of doing this is actually not unlike our experience together, right? You come into the room with someone, no matter what they're struggling with or what the diagnosis is or what the treatment plan is, that first 5 minutes of every session is connect and get into a present state together so that you actually can do effective work together. And I realized, I've been doing this 10, 15 years, and every time that happens naturally, I come in with the intention of, what's going on for this person? How can I be helpful? All that. And if the person's coming in with, yeah, I have the agenda of I want to be helped, I want to connect with someone, I want to be supported, every time it happens that you come into a state together where you can then do good work. And what I realized is that is the shift. It is that first 5 minutes of connecting with someone. It's not that hard to do. Everyone can do it, but really there's some principles around setting the intention, taking some deep breaths, and getting there. And it's much easier with someone else who's present but you can do it alone also for sure. And I think our goal here is to teach people how to do that alone, how to be able to shift your state of mind in under 10 minutes to a better place anytime.
So back in the day, there was a technique. My poor sister, she was misdiagnosed with a disease, and actually the treatment is what killed her. But one of the things she used to deal with was like the anxiety of having a disease and knowing, there's an end point all of a sudden to my life.
Yeah.
And she started doing tapping. And I've tried
Ah,
it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for everybody, right? It just doesn't.
yeah.
But what you're talking about, if I remember correctly from my days of talk therapy as a young man, is called positive transference, right? When you connect with your therapist, you talk and you feel akin to them, and that's actually an art. I think that some therapists can do it. Um, maybe they before uh, before Tony Robbins started talking about neurolinguistics. I think
Oh, right.
some
NLP.
some therapy, yeah, I think some therapists just had that knack. Like you walk in and you start talking to them, and you feel like I could be friends with this guy. Maybe I'll go out to a beer, go out for a beer with him afterwards. Like, oh no, we can't do that. But that's a gift, isn't it?
I think that's true in a way that some people are really qualified for it, and that's not limited to therapists, obviously, right? I
Right.
mean, one of the things that hopefully we'll get into talking about a little bit is that this peer-to-peer thing, like someone who doesn't have a training in psychology, doesn't have a degree or whatever, is not a therapist, is completely capable of mastering shifting their state of mind and then teaching someone else to shift. And so I think that's where the real power is. I mean, there's a lot more people who aren't therapists than who are therapists, and I think you just hit on it. It's that there's a subset of people, I don't know what percentage, but there's a subset of people that really are empathic and able to connect with someone. I don't think it's that complicated, actually. It's just about, caring about the other person,
Right.
listening fundamentally.
Right. So let's talk about lay it out for the audience. So what? How does this work?
So a shift is the company's called One Perfect. The product's called Shift. A shift is a 5 to 10 minute digital experience that guides you into a better state of mind. So you come into the app or you go to oneperfectshift.com and you subscribe for free. You choose what's going on with you. I'm lonely, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I can't sleep, I'm unmotivated. So this can be about going from sort of mental health bad to decent, bad to good, or good, I'm already doing okay, but I need to get to great because I got to perform my best. So one or the other. come in, we meet you where you are. Within 10 minutes, you're getting a shift to a better place. And you can do that all digitally on the app. You can do it for free online. The exciting thing to me is that we are now adding a new component to that. And that's what we were just actually touching on, and that's the shift therapist. So we're training people who are good at shifting already themselves
Right.
to shift other people. And with all this technology and artificial intelligence and the proof that we've developed over 4 years of this company testing the shifts and proving them in university settings, and having customers and thousands of subscribers and hundreds of thousands of shifts delivered, we know it works. And so now we can give that content that works to the shift therapist to deliver. And the people who are good are very good. And so imagine, you're at home, kids are driving you crazy. Maybe you're at work, you're having a tough day, meeting after meeting after meeting. You have 5 minutes in between, and you need to get to a better place. And as you touched on at the beginning, you don't want to pop whatever it is, a Xanax or something else. You want to try something that's more in your control, more organic, and actually, no matter what else you're doing, it supplements it, right? The capacity to shift
Right.
yourself. Once you know how to do it, I think of it as really a superpower for you, because what happens is once you realize that you know how to do it, you also know, hey, any moment I'm only 5 minutes from a better place. And if you're in a terrible place at that moment and you remember that, then you get to a decent enough place to listen, take that next step of your day from a much more constructive mind state.
So you actually are face to face if you're using the new service where you actually have a person helping you, assisting you shift.
Yeah, so currently you go on the app, you get I'm lonely, couple taps, and the audio or the video shift automated 24/7 starts. Next generation, and that's why we're talking, at least from my perspective here, recruiting shift therapists. There'll be a button that says, I want it live. You hit the button, and then you get ratings of all your therapists. You see if they're like you, if it's a good Italian guy that I can resonate with from the old neighborhood. All right, I want to get shifted by that guy. Maybe you've done it a few times with the same person, so you like them. So the real idea here is that we're matching someone who resonates with you and your background to you in that moment. And so, yes, if you're interested in becoming a shift therapist, just subscribe and you'll end up getting the information to learn how to do that. But to me, it's the most valuable skill, not only that you can teach yourself, but if you start shifting other people, not only are you demonstrating mastery, but what we're finding is you get more value out of shifting someone else than you get out of shifting yourself.
I was just thinking that. I was thinking like you could find a purpose for your life by helping other people shift or shifting other people.
Oh my god, man. And if there was a volunteer thing across the country for 15 minutes a week, do 3 shifts with someone, it's gonna just enhance your life so much, I believe.
It's like Uber for a good friend. It's like I
Oh,
just
you're
need
good.
I need
Uber
it.
for mental health was our
Yeah, that's
tagline.
what I was actually
Yeah,
thinking. Yeah, I mean because just like the Uber service, you don't get who you choose. Somebody who's closest to you chooses you. They come
that's it.
on, they pick you up. So this is really fascinating.
But
So
that's based on ratings too, right? Like, you're only a good driver if you have good ratings, and they don't
right.
give you the next customer unless you're good. So, yeah, I like that analogy. In
So
Uber, we're taking you in the outer world where you wanna go. In One Perfect Shift, we're taking you in your inner world
in a
where
world.
you wanna go.
So is there a fee for the service with the app? You download the app. Where can you download the app first of all? That
Okay,
would
so the free is oneperfectshift.com. Subscribe, you get a weekly shift sent to your inbox, emailed to you. Do it at your own pace. If you decide to enter the app, free again. First 10 shifts are free. If you decide to keep going, I believe it's 12 bucks a month or something like that right now. And if you want to go to the live version, which is not out yet because we're recruiting the shift therapist right now, then the pricing, we'll figure that out. But what's happening is that companies, organizations are paying for it. They're subscribing for their employees so that their employees have a solution in between, meetings. And so at the end of the day, for most, I mean, there's the business to consumer side. You just go download your app and use it. But our real business is about the business side, where all of these companies are realizing they need to care for their employees' mental health and wellness. They haven't been doing it like they should. And 50% of new purchases last year in benefits were mental health because, well, you mentioned COVID, but it's tough to retain employees now.
Yeah, they're dropping every day. You hear a company just fired 10,000 people. It's like that's
That's tough.
huge.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
huge.
and it's also tough to retain people that are your good people, so you wanna give them benefits that actually enhance their ability to perform their best.
You remember that movie, The Big Short? Brad Pitt quoted something, and I looked at it, and it was true. That for every 1% that the unemployment rate increases, 10,000 people commit suicide or something like that.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's like this is I know people always say, "Oh, suicide is a long-term solution to a short-term problem," but when you're in that short-term problem, it doesn't look short-term, and all you can see is worse and worse things coming from it.
Yeah,
Look, I don't think there's anybody listening to this show that hasn't thought, "Oh man, it'd be easy to just kill myself," right? But it's really
mm.
not, because killing yourself ends up causing a ripple effect in other people's lives. It's horrible.
Oh my god.
Really nice.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, I think you just hit on it, is like when you're in that place, you can't see any of these things that you can see when you're in a halfway decent place.
I think part of it, even for me, because I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've contemplated it a couple times, thinking like, this just would be easier. I got no bills anymore.
I think
Everybody.
everyone runs down that path
Yeah,
to just see what it looks like. Yep.
yeah, and I think the real problem is that we've become a nation of impatience. Like, our parents, our grandparents, like they struggled for decades to save up this little thing here.
Mm,
And today, because the internet and social media makes it look like everybody's life is just rocking and people are just doing big things. And why am I not? I want fame too. And
right.
we become, I think that we're all impatient now. Like nobody thinks it's worth a lifetime to accumulate these things. No, I got to get that this week because I want to be like that guy over there. And I think that actually kind of throttles the idea that suicide is an alternative. Like I don't want to have to wait. I don't want to have to work this out. I know I'm going to have to pay the IRS for 10 years now. I don't want to. I'm just going to kill myself.
Oh, I hear you. So they kind of go together. If you don't have any patience, then when you're down, you just don't have any patience for it.
No patience, no sense of deferred gratification. Maybe is what.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, Carl. I also think about the idea that, it takes time to earn something or it doesn't. I think you could solve that by coming into the present moment, any moment. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't having a great morning. Some stuff was going, whatever. And I've learned to take a couple deep breaths, and that's great. But when we talk, when we connected, all of a sudden it's like, what do you need? What do you got, a microphone, and you and I are talking, right? And you're feeling
Right,
in a good place.
right.
So to me, it's more. I think that that's a major shift that's killing us, right? Another major shift is that we're forgetting that our relationships and actually how we feel when we actually are connected to each other is, I mean, that's what we have essentially at the end of the day, right? That's what
That's
your
all.
life was. Connecting with people, relationships with people, people you leave behind, people who went before you. So, and that probably ties into what you're saying, patience, recognizing that.
A big game changer for me and mental health. Because I was an avid drug abuser as a young man, and obviously, my dad spent the early portion of his life as an alcoholic. So I come from codependent. We could go. I love, by the way, John Bradshaw. I don't hear anything about him anymore, but I love
Ah,
John Bradshaw. But and so I realized that I've got some defects in my personality. But the thing that I was driving towards was when I lost my mother, my father, and my sister. That was it. I'm the last man standing in my family,
mm,
all in like a 5-year period. And I became very depressed. I couldn't sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night with panic attacks, with this thought that, oh, I'm next. Like there's
mm,
nobody on the planet that remembers that year the dog knocked the Christmas tree over. You know what I mean? Like I'm it. I'm the keep
ah,
final
yep,
memory. It was
yep.
really a weird feeling. It was like I can't really explain why, but I just felt so disconnected from life, and I feel like I got nobody anymore. And so
Wow.
I did something. I read a book um, when I first moved to Las Vegas about G. Gordon Liddy. Like he was a nut CIA guy, but he was afraid of rats, and he knew that in clandestine services, if anybody ever knew he was afraid of rats, they would use that to torture him.
Oh,
So he went
not
to a
not not that he's the rat. He's actually a literal rats.
yeah, no, like he was afraid of rodents, big rats. Like he started sweating if he saw a rat.
Wow.
So he went to a pet shop and he bought a white rat in a paper bag sitting on his seat while he's driving home. He lived in Virginia somewhere, and the rat's dancing around. He's sweating. He's having panic attacks. He's driving. He gets home. He kills the rat. He skins the rat. He eats the rat. It's symbolic. It's symbolic, right?
Yeah, man, this is exposure therapy taken to the extreme. I
Yeah,
love it.
and he was never afraid of rats anymore. So I lived for a year having panic attacks about my mother, father, and sister being gone and me being the last man standing. And then one day I decided to lay in bed and visualize my death. Like right now, what happens if I stroke right now? I'm laying in bed. I can still see the light, but I'm dying. What do I do? And I started to toy with this idea. And I've told the audience this years ago. It's like snow day. Remember when you wake up in the morning and it's snow day as a kid or as a parent?
Oh, I love that.
There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do. You can't. It doesn't matter if you have a doctor's appointment or you have to go to school. Put the PJs on, make some tomato soup,
Your
and
plans are irrelevant.
exactly. And I thought, snow day was great. It relieved you of any responsibility. Death is
Oh,
the same way. And so I started practicing. I called it death work. I started visualizing my death until I became comfortable with it, till I was like, okay, there's some things I got to get put together before I die, right? So now I'm going to get my will done and promoted me to make sure I had good life insurance. But
this is
now
as you're going through the death work, you're
oh
realizing,
yeah,
okay, this stuff's coming up.
it lasted weeks and weeks. And
There's
I
some
would
logistical stuff that keeps coming up I got to deal with, but
that
at the
makes
end of
me
the day,
anxious, like anxious about dying. Like, oh shit, I should have done that. I should have deleted all those porn pictures off my iPhone,
yeah, I got to get rid of that.
But really, like we all have these loose ends, and that's what you think about. You don't think about, oh, I forgot to register the car. You think about the people you leave behind and making sure that you're not hurting them, like right now by checking out. And after I went through that, I realized that death is really not that scary. And and I started saying on the show, you're never going to really live the fullest life you can until you address your death. Because it's like if I'm driving, you and I are in a car, we get in Boston, and we're heading west, and we're driving through these different states, and you're saying, Carl, where are we going? No, don't talk about it. Don't talk. We're going to end up in California inevitably, because that's it. But we don't want to talk about the fact that we're going to end up in California. That's how we live life. Like, let's not address the fact that we're going to die. Let's not think about it. Let's not think what we can do to make it easier on the people we leave behind. Let's just ignore it and act like we're not going to die.
Yeah. And your point is, if you're doing that, you're getting beat up by the ignorance and by the
Yeah, and you're
unconsciousness.
not living your fullest life, because if people realize that, like, oh, I only have like maybe 80 years and probably the last 10 aren't going to be really productive. Like, what do I have to get done before I get
Yeah.
into that?
Yeah. I love it, man. I was just happy that you didn't say that you were using that G. Gordon Liddy example of eating a rat, like you were gonna eat a dead person in order to get over death.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good one. No, you can't. My father used to have a very barbaric saying, because he grew up in the neighborhood. He was a knockaround guy, and he would say, "They can kill me, but they can't eat me." Like somehow that was okay. Oh yeah, they can kill you, but they can't eat you. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so that's it. I mean, the psychologist probably shouldn't be making jokes when you're talking about death. I mean, I am so with you 100% on that. You gotta do it, and your story about losing all your family members in that same period of time, and as a psychologist, one of the things that I think about beyond, all of the pain and healing and time that that's gonna take is physiologically, right? Our relationships live in our bodies, right? They
Yes.
physically live in our brains. So there are these networks that you associate with this person that you're completely attached to, that you love. Now they're gone, but in your head, they exist. And so in your story about all the memories, you're the receptacle for the memories that remain is super powerful to me because it's literal, right? It's they're in your brain, they're nowhere else, but they're not going anywhere because they exist within you. So somehow you need to now make that shift from this relationship with this thing in my brain and body to, okay, it's different. I'm here, and I can see how you'd lean into, all right, this happens to everyone. Let's cope with how we might do it best. But that's amazing that you got to that place. What did you say? It took a couple weeks, or
Couple of weeks to actually start feeling comfortable with dying. Like
and
I thought of
it
every
was the first
alternative.
time you said, I gotta
Actually
look.
I had a dream. I had a dream. So around 3 weeks in, excuse me, I had a very profound dream. I'm first generation American. My parents, one of my parents was born in Italy. The other one was born here as very small babies, And so, um, uh, I meant they came here. One of them came here as a baby, and so like I have a lot of like I guess the Spanish people call it Santeria, right? The Italians, we have our own. We put the malocchio on somebody, the evil eye, and all
Uh,
that shit.
like the hex? You put the
Yeah,
hex
yeah,
on?
they believe in that stuff. Yeah, they believe the
Yeah.
ones that come from the other side. They believe in all that stuff. Um, and so I had a dream one night, and I was crying in the dream. I'm bringing the dream back.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very poignant. But this old woman, like an old Kumara, you remember them? The ones in Boston, they wore black all the time because their husband died 60 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
And she
yeah.
came over to me, and
Godfather.
yeah, and she was talking Italian to me, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" And I says, "I don't know." And she put a hand on my heart, and she goes, "Oh, you have a broken heart." And I woke up in the morning. I was, "Oh, that's the fucking problem." Oh, I'm not supposed to curse on the show. Uh, that's the problem. I have a broken heart. That's what it was. And then it was like it resolved after I visualized my death probably 100 or so times, got comfortable with the idea of dying, and had that dream. It was over, and I didn't really.
Wow, man. I don't know if your audience or you is interested in this, but when you were saying that exposure therapy is how we treat anxiety disorders in therapy, right? So it could
Mhm,
be post traumatic stress because you went to war and saw whatever horrible thing you saw, or, sexual assault, whatever triggers this in you so that you're now living it, even though it's not currently still occurring, is a severe anxiety disorder, right? Creates panic attacks and all the other issues. And the way that it is dealt with is we get in the room together and start to approximate the experience so that you can begin to tolerate it. And it's
mhm.
like you just figured that out on your own and ran yourself through the steps of living it over and over until you realize that the fear was a story, right? It was some story that was the wrong story. So that's brilliant to me. And then one of the things that I found doing this work over time is that exposure therapy really works for people, right? Especially if you do it in virtual reality, where you recreate the
Oh,
actual
wow.
experience, and people walk into that experience. The military was the first to develop it because it was real expensive back in the day. But this was the original use of technology for psychology. It was you come into virtual reality. They've remade the experience at war that you were in. You're driving in the car, it feels the same, and you can just sort of turn the temperature up of the experiences as the person's able to kind of acclimate, and you see that they're able to tolerate it, and you do it enough times and your body has the reverse experience that it had the first time, which is, okay, I can live with this and I
Interesting.
can tolerate it when it arises, and I actually can stay present through the experience. So yeah.
That's fascinating. Let me plug the product. We're going to take a break here in a second. Hold on. Let me get it. So we have a little plaque here, an image with a QR code that you can go to, and you'll be transported right to the website. You can learn about how you can take advantage of the app. And the app is actually called The Shift, right?
One Perfect Shift is the
Perfect.
app, and oneperfectshift.com is the website. That's a book, actually, that I wrote 10 years ago, but it's all about purpose, man. All the stuff we're talking about is how do you connect to your purpose and live your purpose? And to me, that's always found in the present moment. Present moment is when you have 100% of your attention right here, Not the present moment is when you have a bunch of thoughts cycling that are telling you a story that's getting in the way of you living in the present moment. So when you get really good at shifting, you get really good at saying, okay, there's thoughts, they're going to come, they're going to cycle, but I can actually experience what's going on with whether it's with another person that I'm hanging out with or whether I'm alone. For a lot of people, being alone and sitting in silence is a scary prospect. And so for a
Oh, I
lot of
know.
people,
Some people won't even do it, like go out to dinner by themselves. Like their own company is unwanted.
yeah, there's that, and then the meditation when people sit quietly or in a room alone for the first time, a lot of times it's a tough thing to do, but you come to realize pretty quickly if you do it and you stick with it that, there's nothing actually scary there. There is your thoughts and there is your history and there is your mental health, but the reality is that if you're not in danger and you're safe, and I always like to highlight this when we're talking about it, especially we talked about suicide. If you're in a bad place, get the help, make the call. But, what we're talking about here is that you're actually trying to improve your ability to regulate yourself, and you're in a place where you think you can do that. In these 5 to 10-minute experiences, there's so much research now that shows if you start to do them consistently, not only do you feel better after 5 minutes, but your brain changes so that it's easier to do automatically. And I see it as a real big part of the future of mental health. Because look, we don't have enough mental health clinicians, first of all. Second, you started out by saying everyone's a mess right now. And we talked about some of the reasons culturally why we're in a tough spot. But this is a tool that if you can learn it, just gives you so much, what would you call it? Control over your own life.
We're going to take one quick commercial break. I've got lots of good things on my mind for the other side, so don't leave us during the break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Carl Lenore. I am the inventor of GunLeash. Over 500,000 handguns are lost in the United States every year. If you carry a gun like I do, you are 300 times more likely to lose your gun. And 15% of those guns will end up in criminals' hands and used in the commission of a crime. GunLeash solves that problem. GunLeash is a patented, no-tracking proximity device the size of a postage stamp. It will alert you as soon as your gun is outside of your range, so you can never leave your gun behind. To learn more and to be notified when GunLeash is available at the end of January, go to gunleash.com and get on our mailing list. GunLeash. Never lose your gun, never leave your gun.
Hey, guys, it's time to change your f***ing underwear, and it's time to change to Sheath. Sheath's underwear's revolutionary designs allows your man parts to hang the way they would naturally hang if you were not wearing underwear. And this improves the blood flow throughout the day to the twigs and berries. If you've never experienced wearing a pair of Sheath underwear, boy, is there an exciting experience waiting for you. Grab a pen and write this down. Go to shrnetwork.biz/sheath. That's SHEATH. And use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off your first pair. And get this, if you're not completely satisfied, send them back for a full refund. That's shrnetwork.biz/sheath.
Great sleep upgrades you on virtually every level: body fat, muscle mass, mood, brain function, and countless other ways. But taking melatonin alone isn't the answer. Thanks to a brand new sleep formula developed by my friends at Bioptimizers, you can experience the best night's sleep ever. Sleep Breakthrough is a delicious sleep drink that supports your natural melatonin production and relaxation without creating a dependency, so you can have the best night's sleep on demand. It targets 5 different sleep pathways to give you the best sleep ever. And best of all, you'll wake up feeling rested and rejuvenated so that you can have the best day possible. For an exclusive offer for my listeners, go to sleepbreakthrough.com/SHR and use the code SHR10 for 10% off. Plus, you can unlock special gifts with the value of at least $20. This is a limited time offer, so go to sleepbreakthrough.com/SHR right now.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Welcome back. Make sure my microphone is. We're talking with Dr. Sean Sullivan today. We're talking about a fantastic service that anyone can take an advantage of, and that is this app that will help you shift your mental state, your emotional state very quickly when you need it to. So this is not for suicide, right? Like if you're contemplating suicide, you shouldn't use the app, right?
That's right. Yeah, if you're in that place, hopefully you're able to make a phone call. If you're at oneperfectshift.com, actually there's a phone number if you're in a tough spot and you need help. That's a toll-free number. So, and I can pull it up if you want, but it's not a bad place to go to, and you can find how to get help if you're in that spot. But no, generally speaking, this is for I'm in a not a great place. Let's say you're out of 10, scale of 1 to 10, you're a 3 and you need to get to a 5 in 5 minutes. This will do that for you. If you're at a 5 or a 7, this will get you up to a 8 or 9. So it's going to bump you up a bit, and as you do it more, you're going to get better at it. So those sizes will be bigger. One of the things we talked about before was sleep, and you and I kind of resonated on the idea of sleep being so vital. So actually for me, the personal story is that I was having trouble sleeping overnight. I was waking up in the middle of the night with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And this was even after I was a psychologist and I realized, oh, you really need to do something about this. That whole thing, I got to get up in the morning. I'm not going to have enough sleep. I'm going to be in rough shape. And so that just lends itself to not being able to sleep further. And I realized that if I developed a process that I could take myself through in my own head, or maybe I recorded it after a while and listened to it, either way works, that I could get myself back at least to a place from major stress and anxiety coursing through my veins to I'm getting rest here. Even if I'm not falling back asleep, I'm well rested, I'm at peace, I'm getting rest. And I worked on that for a while. And when I realized this thing's automatic, once you get it right, it works because it's basically just listen and it guides you through the series of steps that you need to take personally, which takes a little time to develop for yourself. But there are certain principles that we all are based on. For me, it took a couple weeks after setting that intention of getting to the place where I could get back to a nice state of mind fairly quickly and reliably. And once you know that, it's so empowering for your life because anytime you're feeling off, then okay, I'm just a few minutes away. Let me just take the right steps here.
So Taylor C is asking a question. Are you impressed by any of the wearables? There's several different wearables that are supposed to either through some sort of radio frequency or vibration, like shift you. Have you looked at any of those?
Yeah, so I have, I mentioned I was in virtual reality for psychology for a long time. And so in a way that's a wearable at the moment. It's a headset, right? But to be honest with you, when Apple went to watches is when I got off the train. Because what happens with the wearables to me is that, now you have your phone on your arm, it's buzzing every time someone sends you a text message. Now you're plugged in a visceral way, like a whole step forward from your phone that you might have turned on buzz. I think what the listener might be referring to, and everyone's got a different appetite, right? Everyone's likes things in different ways. There are tools that haptics they call them that you
Right.
can wear on your body, and that can trigger you to then do a shift, things like that. So it may be that we incorporate them at some point. And it may be that Elon Musk's Neuralink, putting the thing straight into your brain, the ultimate wearable, is the future. But I think, for me, I just decided I'm not really a social media guy. I didn't really get into that. And I think just to keep one step away from presence, I just received a pulsetto for vagus nerve stim, and I'm pretty impressed so far. Hey, man, if it's working for you.
Yeah, that's what that's the bottom line.
Yeah, Carl, you told me about that recharge thing. I'm curious about that now.
Oh man, that was unbelievable. I'm actually going to do a show with them probably in a week or so. I'm going to go back for a couple more sessions. And I'll talk about it here in a minute.
Cool.
So, you made a good point, right? And this is a problem for young people today, in my humble opinion. Fragmented thought. You know, you get a push notification from this app, you get a text message from this person, you got to check your Instagram messages, you got to check your. It's like that level of interruption has to contribute to anxiety, doesn't it?
I mean, so to me, this is the flip side of what doing a shift is, right? This is being trained by your environment, by your wearables, by technology to have an attention span of a goldfish because you're going from here to here to here to here to here, and you're not having that experience of 100% attention on the same thing for a long time. And so, yeah, it's had major impacts across culture. To me, you'll find when you do a shift, they're designed 5 to 10 minutes, and because of this issue with society where our attention span has gone down so much, we have silences in there, but 20 seconds maybe is the way that you can get started with this stuff. So you find if you're able to tolerate 20 seconds of silence where you're able to continue with the instruction, right? So that might be listen to the sounds in your environment that you otherwise wouldn't hear unless 100% of your attention was listening. For a lot of people, doing that for 20 seconds is very difficult now
Yes.
because of what you just talked about, I think.
Right. Right. And in general, like you talked about, I took TM 24 years ago. And
Transcendental meditation, that one?
yeah, when it was cheap,
Ah,
it was $300. Now it's like now
that's where I
it's
started too,
$1,500.
actually, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I still I use my same mantra, but here's an
That's
interesting,
20 minutes, right?
20 minutes twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening.
Good for you. I mean, I think people love that.
Oh, no,
Really
no, I
successful
don't do
people.
it religiously. You said good for
Oh,
you.
okay.
The credit I don't deserve. No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I do it like I had an anxiety attack right before a show one day right here, and I just focused on my mantra and it was gone. So
Wow.
I can go in real quick. But when I
Yeah,
was
once you
really
learn it, sorry to interrupt, Carl.
no,
I was just gonna say, once you learn this stuff, what Carl's talking about for people who don't know about it, it's a presence practice, right? It's something that brings you into the present moment, allows your thoughts to flow away, and all of these tools like a shift, like meditation, like mindfulness, like Zen Buddhism, like prayer and Catholicism, right? The thing that they share in common is that they teach you how to come into presence. And anxiety and panic attack is like not presence. It's dealing with some story that's gotten out of control in your head. And so once you learn it, and that's what I love about what you said, because it really resonates to me, because I also learned that 25 years ago,
right.
and it sticks with you once you learn it,
Oh yeah.
when
And it
you're
was
desperate, especially.
best thing I ever did for myself. But what I was going to say was I lived in Las Vegas in the 80s, which was a great time to live in Vegas. And so there was a, a metaphysical shop on Maryland Parkway and Flamingo Road. And I used to go there and buy incense for the apartment because, chicks like incense. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Get the bar out.
there was a sign that Saturday they were doing a meditation class with a guy named Ram Das. I didn't know who he was. Yeah, right. And so
Alfred.
I didn't
Alfred.
realize I was learning meditation from like the American guru
The
himself.
American guru. Yep.
Yeah. And
Grandfather.
so I went in, but one of the things that he taught me stuck with me to this day. And it's a great way to break thought. He said, if you don't want to meditate and focus on your mantra, he says there's a way to meditate by silencing your mind. And he said it's very easy. Just in your head, ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought will be. And there will be this pause because you're like listening for your mind to wake up and say something. And you practice that over and over again until the pauses are longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I've only ever used it like just recently. I was going someplace and it looked a little shaky, and like I was like, I got to be prepared. I don't want to get anxiety ridden because that's going to make me not be prepared. And so I just kept saying to myself, I wonder what my next thought's going to be.
Yeah.
And it took me right offline. I was like,
Oh,
it was,
you're like the master of applying in real time under stress these principles that work, that psychologists use in practice, but stretch out how to use it, over a bunch of sessions usually.
So
Yeah.
the Alzheimer brain is running in high speed. So we think that Alzheimer people, like they're like in a vacuum, they don't know anything, but
Yeah.
their brain is runaway. The Alzheimer brain is exactly the opposite of the meditative brain.
Oh yeah,
The
it's like mode
reality is
breaks.
that, and they have a hard time meditating. Like when somebody who's like prone to Alzheimer's is asked to meditate, they're like, I can't. I can't. It's like, and you got to work with them calmly and say, well, just come back to your mantra. Just come back to your mantra. You know, but that's the Alzheimer brain is running at 1,000 miles an hour. That's why they sit there with that glazed eye look, because they're
there's a light show going on in there and all that.
yeah, that's what's going on inside their head. It's really something.
Yeah, I love the thing about that trick, that Ram Dass trick about coming into silence. Now, also, I do want to flag though that for a lot of people, when they think about meditation or mindfulness or these, words that they've heard that maybe they haven't learned how to do it, they often will be like, I can't stop my thoughts, and it's very scary. It's a scary idea to be able to do that, and then they try and they can't do it, and so it basically people aren't able to stop their thoughts. You're talking about for a little while, maybe the first time, and maybe a little longer after that.
It's not
But
even a second.
it's
Yeah.
learning the experience of the difference between what that is and what the running mind is. And when you learn that, now you got a lot of power because you recognize these are my insight the first time in my experience with TM when they said close your eyes and listen to your thoughts was the experience of realizing that I had thoughts going on 24/7, a lot of which I didn't agree with. So they were automatically occurring, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, once you realize that you have these automatically occurring thoughts that you may or may not agree with, that's when you say, okay, I got to listen a little bit to what's going on internally. And when you do that, now silence starts to grow. Because why would you take it too seriously if it's some thought that you actually don't agree with that is basically being regenerated from your history?
Fascinating. So the people that are coming on board as, what do you call? You don't call them counselors,
Shift
shift
therapists,
therapists.
yeah.
Do they get paid?
Well, so the model here, like I said, companies end up paying for their employees to subscribe. So what they'll do is they'll pay for X number of sessions for their employees. And so if you get good enough at becoming a shift therapist that you are getting chosen, yeah, you're getting paid.
Oh,
During the training process, you're not getting paid. But to me, the broader message is that you get so much benefit out of doing this for yourself,
right.
shifting first and then teaching others, that it pays for itself. Some people, if it's about dough, then yeah, there's a pathway there. But really, you want to get in this, especially if you're going to become a shift therapist, because you have that empathy for other people. You recognize we're all going through tough stuff. You recognize that on your good days, you're in a really good place to help other people. On your bad days, you might not be, right? And hopefully someone's there for you on the tough days. But to have that skill set, to be able to help someone when they need it is really empowering.
Yeah. Uh, I'm going to take our last commercial break now because I want to talk about metabolics.
Oh,
And because we know that people who suffer from insulin resistance are prone to anxiety when they have blood sugar drops. So
yeah, teach me about that. I want to hear.
yeah, because there may be some questions that you can start asking people that can help them understand what they're doing that's contributing to their anxiety. Okay.
I got you. Okay,
All right.
cool.
So sit tight. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I forgot how to do it. There are lots of concerns about food supply today. That's why you need White Oak Pastures. White Oak Pastures will deliver food right to your doorstep. You don't even have to go out and be disappointed by shopping in grocery stores. The finest beef, pork, lamb, duck, and more can be found at White Oak Pastures. And now they even have seafood. And best of all, White Oak Pastures has a negative carbon footprint, which means that you don't have to feel guilty for eating your ribeye. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 15% off. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. BPC is one of the most amazing supplements you can use. It's been shown to increase the speed of recovery, heal the gut, and do so many other things. BPC stands for Body Protection Compound, and it's a naturally occurring peptide in the body. Used by professional athletes and weekend warriors alike, there has always been an obstacle in the way of average people using BPC, and that is it was injectable only. Not any longer, thanks to NutriNeeds. We now have oral BPC, and it works. Go to shrnetwork.biz/NutriNeeds, NutraNeeds. Use the code SHR and save 10% off your bottle of BPC. Feel better, recover faster, train harder. NutriNeeds.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. Let's see. I have a bad switch on this board I have to fix. I just figured it out. We're talking with Dr. Sean Sullivan. Plug the website again, Sean.
So oneperfectshift.com, all spelled out, ONEperfectshift.com is the place to start for free.
And you can download the app from there, or you have to go like the app?
Yeah, there's all sorts of links to click. You'll open up there's an Android app, there's an iPhone app. Get to everywhere from there and get in the app for free too. This whole platform, I mean, the whole idea to me is let's get people doing this, show them how to do it. Let's not make it too expensive and scare people away, because there's so much value here and we need it. We all need it.
And it's free to download and use a certain number of times?
Yeah, the app, you can get into the app for free if you choose to, and then it becomes like $12 a month.
If you choose to sign up. And obviously,
after you do 10 or so and you decide I like this.
That's pretty generous. Yeah, that's great. I mean, we have GPS. We have all sorts of apps on our phone that we use minimally. None of them are going to get us out of a jam, like you're having an anxiety attack right before walking into a meeting to apply for a job. And here's a simple tool. I mean, this is just a tool. That's all it is. It's a screwdriver. It's a hammer. It's a tool.
I love that. I love that way of thinking about it. And I love like the proof points of your story, right? It's like came in, you've been doing this 1,000, episodes or whatever, but you come in one day and for whatever reason, maybe the sleep wasn't right, maybe the caffeine wasn't right. And all of a sudden it messes with your body, your physiology. And you went straight back to, okay, there's a tool that I know about that worked for me in the past. It worked. It works in a couple minutes. We're able to shift our physiology that quickly if we take the right steps. If we don't take the right steps, and trust me, I've had patients with panic attacks that are really difficult for them to get under control, because once they start, you start going this direction instead of saying, oh, I have a tool for this. Let me either click a button or hit play.
I know.
And that's very tough. I mean, that is the definition of the problem, really. The thoughts just start spiraling and you can't make good decisions to take care of yourself.
And they're just thoughts, but they're manifesting themselves as physiological changes, like your heart's racing. Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack. I mean, really.
Well, we know that your imagination, what's occurring in your mind, and not to be insensitive, some of this stuff is horrible, right? It's remembering memories from traumatic experiences. And so when they come in, that is just overtakes your entire emotional system if it's bad. And then this imagination becomes the same as the experience that you had physiologically inside you. So it's a real thing. But if you can, the major skill to learn is to recognize early enough on in the cycle that your trigger is, I feel anxiety, I feel stress, and I want to take a right turn instead of a left turn. In our case, a right turn is open an app and say I'm stressed and listen to the voice that works for you.
So there are some things that trigger anxiety metabolically, and it's well known by doctors, but they don't talk to their patients about it quite often. If you are developing insulin resistance, which means you have ever rising blood sugar levels, you're starting to get on that diabetes track. What happens is you become metabolically inflexible, which means you can't go long periods of time without food, or you start panicking. And the reason you panic is because your blood sugar drops, and your brain gobbles up like 45% of the blood sugar in your body, right? By size, it's the dominant consumer of glucose. And when the brain sees a brownout coming, it goes, "Oh, F this. Wake up, dude. What are you doing wrong? Like, come on, do something." And that's
sounds
so
the alarm.
Panic is first, sweating is second, subjective tremor. I feel like I'm shivering, but I'm shaking. Those are all signs that you have a metabolic problem. It's not just the anxiety. And I'll tell you something that's interesting. People who wake up 2:00 in the morning with anxiety, and when you have anxiety, your body has to find a reason. Your brain goes, why? It needs it. So it looks for something that's symbolic. So you say, well, I'm anxious because I got to finish my taxes tomorrow. No, if you were sleeping good, you would have slept right through. You're not worrying about your taxes. But when you start to develop an anxiety and it wakes you up, you assign it a reason. You have to. Your body, your mind wants to give it a reason. It doesn't want to say, "Oh, this is just happening." No, we have to know why it's happening. So when you wake up 2:00 in the morning and you have anxiety, you'll blame it on work. You'll blame it on your relationship with your husband or wife. You'll blame it on the fact that you didn't get the reports done. You blame it on all this stuff, but that's not why you woke up. You woke up because as blood sugar started to drop, the brain goes, we need glucose. How do we do that? Well, we got to wake the adrenals up. We got to wake the adrenals up so that they'll produce glucagon that'll liberate glucose from the liver and raise blood sugar again. And so a lot of people don't understand this. And as a result,
this is an example of that, Carl. If you were drinking too much the night before, and then all of a sudden,
alcohol does it for a different reason. The alcohol actually goes into both the GABA receptor and the adenosine receptor. Alcohol does it. It totally does. Like, unless you're so inebriated, you're out and you're still drunk in the morning when you wake up. But if you just had a few drinks, it's like every time I have a few drinks, I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm sweating a little bit, my heart's pounding. That is because alcohol is a toxin. That's why we call it intoxicating.
Yep.
And it binds to both the GABA receptor, which is something that relaxes you, and that's what makes you drunk. But it also affects the adenosine receptor, which adenosine has to dock in the adenosine receptor to make you sleepy. And when alcohol does it, it doesn't make you sleepy. So you end up whacked out. You wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep. You feel like crap the next day.
Okay. I interrupted you it's a different process than you're
different
talking
pathway. It's not so much blood sugar as GABA and adenosine.
Okay. I was thinking that you had the sugar high and now you're coming down from all the sugar and the alcohol.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're drinking vodka, there's no sugar in it. You know what I mean? If you're
vodka, yeah, right. But I mean, beer's got a lot of sugar.
Well, nowadays, some of it doesn't. There's like a 3.2 carb beer that I have a can of. Blue Moon makes a 3 gram.
Wine must have sugar.
Some does. Drier wine, less sugar.
Okay.
The drier the wine, the less sugar, because and the higher the alcohol content, the less sugar, because more of the alcohol converts to alcohol.
I got you. Okay. So if you're dealing with processing alcohol, it's a different thing. Okay.
Alcohol's is a cluster F. It just is going to wreck your sleep no matter what, and it really doesn't have a lot to do with blood sugar.
It's going to wear you down over time.
Yeah, it's poison. It really, we embrace it because I like a good buzz too. I mix a really mean margarita. And I like to have them, and the next day I wish I didn't. That's the way it is. But getting back to metabolics, I think that it would be prudent if you have somebody that has like wild anxiety attacks, and they're not able to shift. Like I just can't. I would ask them to go to Walgreens, buy a they have a $20 glucometer. It comes with some lancets and some test strips. And 3 days in a row, first thing in the morning, put it on the bedstand, have it ready. Wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, prick your finger, and look at your blood sugar. And if it's in the high 90s or higher, you are on the you're on the glucose roller coaster. That's the problem.
Glucometer. Get a glucometer. Do it 3 days in a row.
3 days in a row, add them together, divide by 3, and that's your mean blood sugar level. And if it's if it's creeping above 90s, 98, 99, some days it'll be 103. The worse your sleep is, the worse it will be. You should really.
You're saying that's different. That's your body giving you a signal like there's something wrong.
Yeah, because your blood sugar is not supposed to wildly elevate and drop. It's not supposed to. That's supposed to be relatively steady. In fact, my nephew suffered from horrible anxiety. And he also wanted to learn how to bodybuild. And I used that as the on-ramp to help him change his diet. He has no anxiety today. He eats a very low carbohydrate diet. The carbs that he eats are all complex carbohydrates. But he'll tell you when he cheats and goes off, like the next day, he'll feel a little anxious.
Because he was sort of high to start with and he got it under control?
Because for some reason, he has some blood sugar management issues. The easiest thing to do instead of taking drugs is to just reduce the intake of carbohydrates. Like people who are insulin diabetics, they can actually lower the amount of insulin they use by just not eating as many carbs.
Yeah, I mean, you're not drinking the supersized Coke, right?
Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, like, cakes and anything that converts to sugar quickly is gonna spike blood sugar. And there's always I'm sorry. This thing is on its own timer. Anything that spikes blood sugar is going to cause a rebound. So when blood sugar goes high, then it goes really low because insulin is deployed to get it under control. So then insulin pushes down real hard, and now blood sugar goes way, way down, and it goes down into the areas where you start getting the brain alarm, like, oh, your blood sugar is too low. So you're on this roller coaster all day long. Yeah, it is something worth investigating. See if you can.
And then how do you think the exercise figures in there? I mean, that helps to regulate it. Yeah,
big. People who exercise are less likely to have depression, are less likely to have anxiety. They just are.
Yeah, and this is lifting. Could be lifting weights. Could be cardio. Could
whatever.
be
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just move.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a guy this morning, a good friend of mine. We grew up together, and he hasn't taken care of his body. So I convinced him to sign up for, he wanted to take a boxing class. So he's telling me, he calls me, says, Carl, I got no pain in my legs, in my butt anymore. He goes, doing this has been great. And then he says, but I just got to get rid of the fat. I can't get rid of the fat. I says, well, Frankie, it's because you don't move much, but you eat like you move much. And so he laughed. He goes, yeah. I said, so why don't you start with this? You're taking the boxing classes twice a week. I says, him and his wife, they sit and watch TV all day long. I said, during the commercial breaks, I want you to stand up, sit down when they're over. I said, so how many commercial breaks are there in a show, Frankie? And I think he said, like 8 or 9. I said, so every show you watch, you're going to do 8 or 9 squats, body weight squats, and you're going to stand the entire time of the commercial break, which is going to deploy muscles to consume glucose. I said, now don't overdo it. Now I'm telling you this, don't go I'm going to do 100 body weight squats tomorrow morning. No, just stand during the commercials and only in the daytime. At nighttime, sit during the commercials. I says, you got to start where you are and increase your activity slowly.
That's so great. It's so practical. Yeah. I know there's those bikes that you hook up to the TV and the TV only works if you're pet. I mean, come on.
Really?
It's a good idea, but who's going to do that if they want to watch their show?
Oh, God. They're making us rats now. Put us on the wheel. And then instead of a pellet.
My dad's got one, like you said. My little brother got it for him. It's a little like bike that he does while he's watching TV or whatever. So he's cycling away, just not the full bike, right? You're sitting on the couch.
It's just the pedals on the floor. I know, I've seen him.
Yeah, and I think he loves it.
Than nothing.
My dad was a professional tennis player. Like this isn't about out of shape or whatever. It's just keep your body moving, man. Use it or lose it.
That's it. All right, let's plug this one more time, okay? I have a plaque here that Natalie made that has a QR code that you can point your phone at right now.
And a picture of how Sean used to look.
That's the young Sean. That's young Sean. And then of course you can go to the website, which is
oneperfectshift.com. Yeah.
perfectshift.com.
Or the apps, or One Perfect Shift. Search in the App Store. But yeah, the easiest way is oneperfectshift.com. Get a free subscription. See if you like it. Get it for free for a while and see if you like it. And become a shift therapist if you feel like you might be good at this. That's what I want. I want a coalition worldwide of therapists, shift therapists. You can find the person who speaks your language. You can find the person who, you really relate to, because that's who you want to hang with for 5 to 10 minutes. You see their face, you're going to be able to shift. So I see that as the future here. But yeah, easiest place to start, oneperfectshift.com.
And if you sign up for your own purposes, like so you can get shifted from time to time, think about this. There's an old saying, you cannot help someone up a hill without getting there yourself. So if you sign up because you're having problems and then you find you're helping other people, you have a purpose in your life now. That's a wonderful thing. Elisa gets mad at me because I take literally hundreds of calls and messages from people every month who have this problem, that problem. And she says, you use up so much of your time doing that you then you complain that you can't get your work done. But you want to know what? I love it. I love telling somebody something that I know that's rudimentary and easy for me to say, and it changes their life.
I mean, the core of this to me is that being connected to other people is it's such a good feeling. It's what we're designed for. And so when we can do it without having anxieties, then all of a sudden we're real present in that relationship, and you want to give. Same story you just said. You get to the top of the mountain. You have to get to the top of the mountain to show someone the way up. So.
And Taylor C says you need to build a workout for dispatchers and emergency services, Carl. Most sedentary job ever and high stress. Yeah, I would imagine law enforcement can use this, your app. I would imagine.
Law enforcement, yeah. Healthcare workers are big for this because they've had such a tough time, during COVID and overworked. So for them, just having a minute to reset. But to me, it's the most fundamental skill of your own mental health if you want to sort of start to take charge of that.
And I don't want to make it sound like I'm throwing Elisa under the bus. I complain a lot because my workload is stupid right now.
Yeah. You don't say no. You don't say no when someone calls you.
No. But what I am doing now is I'm not checking my messages as frequently. All the messages on Facebook. I got a ton of messages on Facebook. They're all questions. Carl, what do you think of this? Carl, and I just don't check them as often. When I have time, I check them. But now she knows because I complain. I'm not sleeping well. I got a lot of pressure on me bringing Gun Leash forward. But I'm doing this. If I had the money that this guy had, he had $20 million to build this new smart gun. I just reached out to some of his investors. Yeah.
Well, the simple is better usually.
Oh yeah. And I work completely on a simple level.
Well, shifts are simple. Same thing. I mean, I was on virtual reality and everything else, and I realized, if people don't use it, it's not effective, right? It has to be simple. It has to be accessible, and easy. So getting it complicated is an easy mistake to make, right?
Yeah. Sean, are you up by Ojai by any chance?
I'm in a place called Muir Beach, California, so just a little bit north of San Francisco.
Oh, okay, cool, very cool. Well, look, it's been great hanging out with you.
Yeah, Carl, great to meet you. Thanks for hanging in the time and talking about all this with me. Appreciate it.
Take care, and we'll see everybody. I think I have a show Friday. I'm only doing 2 shows a week right now. I used to do 4 and 5, but the workload is just too much. All right, take care, Sean. Thank you to the audience for being here today. Please share the show. You never know who you're going to help. Okay, that's it.